back. You'll suck that up. What can you tell me about these? Diving birds?
Yes and no. The ones that are put together, that's called Ichthyornis. It's more like a seagull, except if you look really closely, it's like a seagull with teeth. We find these out in the Western Interior Seaway deposits. So they were migrating or flying over the ocean for some reason. The other chunk here is from an animal called Parahesperornis, and that is a diving bird. That's kind of like this is a set of hips that's this long, you know, so that's from a really tall animal, probably more like a loon than anything else. We make jokes about like murder penguins, but I think a loon is probably a little bit closer to it.
You can see the teeth.
But birds are pretty rare, pretty uncommon. Not necessarily that there weren't many of them there, but their bones are extremely delicate and they're snack sized. So we always consider it a good day when we find anything from a bird.
That's awesome. And then you were talking about Protosphyraena earlier.
Yeah, so here is the only skeleton of one that I know of. The only other postcranial material I've ever seen are some of these fins towards the back of the tail that haven't even been fully described yet. So Anthony calls them the go faster fins, but
Orientus, that's the tail.
So here's the tail back here. The body is through here, and actually if you can, I don't know how well it shows up, usually you have to get real close, but you see all those spines coming off of nothing. There's nothing in there. It was cartilaginous vertebrae. Then you get one of the pectoral fins up here, and then we're looking at the underside of the skull over on the other end of the jacket here. So this is the Protosphyraena, and this is the only real complete skeleton that anybody's ever found. I have only seen postcranial material one other time, and it was some of these fins here towards the back. So you've got the massive tail fin right here, and then you get the spine is this long line here, and if you look really closely, you see all those spines, those tiny thin little bones, but they're not attached to any vertebrae. It's because we found out that those vertebrae were cartilaginous and did not survive the fossilization process. Then as you get up forward, you get this big pectoral fin, or most of a pectoral fin right there, and some of the shoulders, and then towards the other pokey outy part of this jacket here, we're looking at the underside of the skull. So a lot of like those thin little fish bones that are in their throats and stuff. So we don't have a good view of the rest of the skull here, but from the underside we can see it pretty well. So when we did the 3D reconstruction, we used a skull that we had that was actually much larger than this animal, and we used all the parts that we had, and this was our reference. The best reference material you can ever get is a real fossil.